Making music has never been easier. The best producers in the world are now able to create hit songs from their couch or from a plane. But with the endless sea of gear out there, what do you really need to set up your home studio to start making some tunes? In this video, I'll walk you through the essentials for setting up your first home studio. I'll cover everything you need to get started, from the absolute studio must-haves to some cool upgrades. Let's hop in. Let's start off our home studio setup with the brain of our operation, the computer. A computer will store all of our audio information so we can piece together an amazing sounding song. And you don't even have to buy a new one. Nowadays, computers are powerful enough that you can use whatever computer you have lying around to get started. It should have no problems running some basic plugins and recording some songs. If you are looking for a new computer for music production, here are some specs I recommend. Have at least 8 GB of RAM, at least 500 GB of storage, and buy the best processor that you can afford. I'd also recommend purchasing a laptop. They're plenty powerful enough and have the added benefit of being portable. When it comes to Windows versus Mac, I like Macs. If you can afford it, I'd recommend getting a used or refurbished Mac computer from the past 5 years. I am a little biased here because that's what I use, but I found the music making process on a Mac to be more streamlined and easier than Windows. But Windows computers are still great and will work just fine, and they're actually preferred if you're on a budget. Here are the 3 budget laptops I'd recommend. And here are 3 more professional options for laptops that I'd recommend. After you've selected your computer, you'll want to choose the software you'll use to record music, aka your DAW. DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation. It's the software that lets you record audio, add effects, and make your song. Once you learn how to use one DAW, you'll find it hard to switch to another, so this is an important decision. Many professional studios use Pro Tools, but my favorite DAW is Logic Pro. But really, any DAW you choose will be able to make great music. If you're on a budget, I recommend choosing between GarageBand, which is free for Mac users, or Reaper, which starts at $60. For more advanced users, I'd recommend any of the following: FL Studio, Ableton Live, Logic Pro, or Pro Tools. I made a full video detailing these DAWs that you can watch right up here. Next up on the list of essential gear for setting up your home studio will be headphones. A good pair of high quality headphones will allow you to hear the audio that you're working with accurately. Headphones will let you listen to your music without disturbing your neighbors or your roommates. And for home studios without acoustic treatment, they'll give you a more accurate sound profile so you can achieve better mixes. There are 2 main types of headphones: closed back and open back. Closed back will keep the sound in and are great for recording. Open back leak more sound out but provide more clarity, making them perfect for mixing. Closed back headphones tend to be less expensive than their open back counterparts and are a great option if you're starting out. They're what I'd recommend for your first headphones purchase. For beginners, I'd suggest spending a bit more on headphones, especially if you don't have acoustic panels or nice studio monitors. We'll talk more about those in a second. They'll be more comfortable on your head and will give you a more accurate sound. I've had my first pair of ATH M50s for over 10 years now, and although they look like they've gone through a blender, I still use them for recording and tracking. Here are 3 budget pairs of headphones I'd recommend. And here are 3 professional pairs of headphones that are awesome. Once you have a computer, a DAW, and some headphones, as long as you don't plan on recording anything, you can begin making some awesome sounding songs right now. For those that are interested in recording some live instruments and vocals, you'll need an audio interface. An audio interface allows you to record a guitar or your voice into your computer so you can use it in your DAW. They also let you control the volume of your speakers and headphones. There are a bunch of different types of audio interfaces out there, but for beginners, I recommend getting one that's USB powered. You'll be able to plug it into your computer and work with it right away. I also recommend getting an audio interface that has at least 2 inputs. This will let you record 2 things at once, so a vocal and a guitar, or even one guitar with 2 microphones. There are models out there that only have 1 input that are a bit cheaper if you're looking to save some cash. That will work just fine. But having 2 inputs at the same time will make your audio interface last much longer as you continue to improve and progress. If you do get an audio interface, you'll also need some cables to plug into it to make it work. The main types of cables you'll use are a 1/4-inch cable, think guitar cable, or an XLR cable, think mic cable. My favorite audio interface for beginners is the Scarlett 2i4. It's got all the knobs you'd expect, it's easy to use, and it sounds great. Even though I've upgraded, I still use it to this day. Here are my recommendations for a budget audio interface. Here are my recommendations for a more professional audio interface. Now that you've got an audio interface, you'll need some microphones to start recording some sounds. There are two main types of microphones you'll encounter: dynamic mics and condenser mics. Dynamic microphones are great for live performances and loud sounds like drums and electric guitars. If you've ever been to a live concert, I'm sure you've seen one before. Condenser microphones are more sensitive to volume and provide a clearer high end. They're great for acoustic instruments and vocals. If you know your studio will be focusing on one or the other, you can pick a microphone suited to those needs. For example, if you're just going to be doing vocals, I recommend getting a condenser. For dynamic microphones, there are a ton of options, but I'll make it easy for you. Start off by getting the Shure SM58. It's inexpensive and it's an absolute beast of a microphone. It's still one of the go-to dynamic microphones for high-end studios across the world. It's that good. For condenser microphones, I'd recommend spending a little bit more money. The quality will be heard and it will last you a while. It's also worth getting a pop filter to help tame some of those higher-end sounds that will be recorded with a condenser microphone. For budget microphones, I'd recommend these. For more professional microphones, I recommend these. You can also check out a video I made comparing all the sounds of these microphones right up here. If you do get a microphone, you'll also need some mic stand to hold them in place. You can get cheap mic stands, but I find that even if you shell out $10 more, your mic stands are much better quality. I'll link to a good one that I like in the description below. All right, now we've got the absolute essentials out of the way for building your home studio. These next two items are a bit more luxurious than the previous ones, but they'll help you make some better music. First up, we have studio monitors. Studio monitors is just a fancy name for specialized speakers that music professionals use. Studio monitors are designed to deliver an accurate representation of the audio frequency spectrum. That's the opposite of most consumer speakers, which are designed to make the audio sound better by boosting certain frequencies, like the bass. Studio monitors are a great way to get an accurate idea of your mix, but they can be pricey. They also won't work like they're designed to without acoustic treatment in your room. As the sound travels out of your speakers, it begins bouncing around the room even before it hits your ears. These frequencies can cause your ear to hear things differently in your room than they might sound coming from another. The best mixes try to sound similar across every type of sound system, and these extra sound reflections can make that really hard to do. Acoustic treatment helps fix this problem by absorbing the extra frequencies flying around the room. And although monitors can be helpful without it, they won't give you the best idea of your sound. Keep that in mind before deciding to purchase them. You can check out a video I made on how to make your own DIY acoustic panels right up here. If you do want to get the best sound possible, then I recommend getting some studio monitors and acoustic treatment. In my opinion, it's the best upgrade a DIY musician can do for their sound. Here are some budget monitors I'd recommend. And here's some more professional standard monitors that I would also recommend. I'll also link below some of the acoustic panels that I recommend if you're not interested in doing it DIY. Doing it DIY? I don't know. And last up on our list to set up our home studio is the humble but mighty MIDI keyboard. At first glance, MIDI keyboards just look like pianos, and they are. Kind of. Most MIDI keyboards won't be able to play sounds without being connected to a computer. But once you do connect them, you'll be able to play any type of sound you can imagine using its keys. MIDI keyboards allow you to play MIDI data directly to your computer. MIDI data is like a set of instructions that tells musical instruments what sounds to make and when to make them. Many MIDI keyboards also come with knobs, faders, and pads you can assign to your DAW to help make the process of making music more immersive and easier. Once you get used to playing your creative ideas on your MIDI keyboard rather than writing in each note with a mouse, things get so much faster. MIDI keyboards are also a great gateway into learning how to play the piano itself, and more importantly, music theory, which if learned can help you make much better sounding music. Here are some basic MIDI keyboards I'd recommend. Here are some professional options I'd recommend for MIDI keyboards. Let's take a look at all the things I've recommended for getting started with your home studio setup. Computer, the brains of the operation. DAW, the software you'll use to make music. Headphones, the best way for beginning musicians to listen and mix their music. Audio interface, the device used to transfer your recordings onto your computer. Microphone, how you'll record yourself. Studio monitors, a studio-designed flat speaker to help mix, ideally used with acoustic treatment. MIDI keyboard, a piano that can play the sounds of your DAW. If you got all of those down, your home studio is sure to flourish and you'll be well on your way to making amazing music. Keep in mind that you don't have to get all of these items at one time. As you improve your music making game, you can add more items to your studio to upgrade it. Building a home studio isn't a one-time purchase. It's a lifelong journey. And if you're looking for more help on your musical journey, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. Till next time.